Hello, and welcome to the W.A.I.T channel. What Am I Thinking? A podcast where two sisters share uplifting conversations on fun and sometimes serious topics.
Join us each week by clicking the notification bell and subscribing to our channel. If you enjoy the show, use the share link. It's one of the best ways to expand the conversation. Hello and welcome back to W.A.I.T. What Am I Thinking? Today we're going to kind of talk about something that is a hot potato topic. And it's something that for as long as I have been alive has every time an election came around, one way or another, this topic was on someone's platform, whether they were either pro or against it. And at the time of this recording, the Supreme Court is actually discussing this particular topic, and it is Roe versus Wade. I'm going to let you take it from there, Tracy, and then we're just going to talk about this because, for the most part, I know that Tracy will agree with me on this. Life is precious. It really is. Life is precious. Over the years in my profession, I literally have seen thousands of infants born. I have been that first hand to touch that infant when it came into the world. I've been the one to stroke that back, to get that baby to cry. So I think I more than any person understand and value life. But I also know I've seen many things in connection to a woman's body. I've seen young girls who were not even in their teens who had been violated in some way or another. And watching this person that probably should have been playing with Barbie dolls be placed in a situation where she has to give birth, or the birthing process hits the wall, and now instead of her having the vaginal birth, she has to go have a cesarean section, which is surgery to have this baby that by no fault of her own she was forced to carry to term. So I say that I can't necessarily say I'm pro or against something because I do understand and I value life. But I also know that there is another side of this conversation that is rarely, if ever, talked about. And that's what we are going to talk about today. So before you get yourself riled up for the pro or the con, just know that where we are coming from, we understand that every life is precious. But we want to talk about some of those things that unfortunately are not a part of the conversation, and they really do need to be a part of this conversation.
So thanks for that, Lori. So I am a Christian, and so I do believe that life is precious, just as she said. But I also, in my faith, serve a God that does not force his will upon us. Mm-hmm. We have free choice to believe as we choose to believe and to live as we choose to live. And his love is there for us regardless. And we get to embrace as much of the Bible and his belief and those things as we want. And we can choose to reject some aspects of it and still say we are a believer. And I say that about the free will because for those who are espousing this pro-life stance, the majority of them profess to be Christians as well. And a lot of them say that they serve the God that I believe in as well, but yet they want to take away someone's free will to choose what they would want to do with their body. And even though as an individual, I don't think that's a choice that I could have made, but I've not been in a position to have to make that choice. So I clearly can say I don't know what I would have done if I found myself with an unwanted pregnancy due to rape, incest, or just not having birth control to prevent a pregnancy. I don't know. But I surely would hate it if the choice to make that decision was taken away from me by state law. So as we are discussing this, my heart is just heavy because I question the motive behind why this needs to be a debate in the first place. I question why do these primarily male lawmakers and justices get to have a say about what is going to happen to someone's body, a female's body, when it comes to carrying a pregnancy to term or not. And I don't think the motives are totally pure about life, because there are so many children whose lives are not being valued, who are already here on this earth. Mm-hmm. But yet we have time to debate about a woman choosing whether to bring more life into this world, and we're not properly taking care of and loving and ensuring the safety of all the lives that are already here. So that gives me a heavy heart, because I question the real motives behind trying to change the law. So
let's talk about what are some of the things that we don't really hear people talking about, especially the presidential candidates, when they're spouting whether or not they're pro or con or against. What are some of the things that we don't hear them talking about? So let's say on the pro side that they're pro-life. So they're telling us, okay, so you're against abortion.
Can I stop you?
Sure.
One thing?
Sure.
I don't even feel they get the right to call themselves pro-life because I too am pro-life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being pro-life for me means that I value life enough to give the woman the choice to choose what she wants to do with her living body.
So there is not this purist definition then for pro-life.
Right.
The way we have basically been told.
Exactly.
It's either this way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that, and that's the reason I hate this as a part of any
strongly dislike.
Thank you. I stand correct. I strongly dislike this topic being used during times that people are running for president, because
or any office,
absolutely, because you can still feel that people have rights, but you yourself still be able to say, I value life too.
Yes.
But this has become such a divisive topic that we're not even able to have a proper conversation about it to let your pro-life person, and I used air quotes when I said that, know, guess what? I hear you. I value this life too. But there's a conjunction to my sentence. But what about the problem that this mom has with wanting to have control over her own womb, over what's in her womb? Now, if any of you know, just physiologically, the process of carrying a baby, those who have been pregnant and carried pregnancy, whether you made it to term or not, it's not something that's an easy process. And even those women struggle with the pregnancy. And that's just with the person that's going to carry a pregnancy to term.
Right.
But I kind of lost my point there.
It's related to why they get to say that they value life in a way more than we do.
Right.
And it, because to say, oh, go through with this pregnancy, it's easier said than done. The toll that it will take on a person is minimized.
It's minimized.
You know, and as a therapist, you from your medical perspective have been witness to bringing the life into the world and that things. And I've seen it from the perspective of having to counsel someone who has a pregnancy that they did not plan, someone who gave birth and now is in some type of turmoil because of it. I've had to counsel someone who had dealt with a pregnancy that came from incest, rape. Those are tough things. And when you make the choice of what you're going to do or how you're going to move on, that should be a personal choice. That should be a personal choice. And I get so frustrated with this when the fetus is viable. Well, what's the viability of the life of the person that's carrying that fetus? And how is their life, where is the value to how their life is going to be impacted moving forward?
Now, you know that viability there, that definition is something where they have moved it back.
Oh, yeah.
For decades now.
Yeah, to say when it can live outside of the womb on its own,
and
for sure.
Know, we have just gotten so good at medicine now, where these babies can be born 18, 19, 20 weeks. A good neonatologist, a level 3-4 hospital can keep those babies alive. But that just caused them to push the date back even further.
Right.
Making it, and even with those children that do come into the world, what about their struggles?
The medical struggles and the cost of keeping that child alive, hopefully to be able to not have very many disabilities. Okay, so let's just stop, because we're putting the cart before the horse, because one of the things that I did want us to talk about is the thing that is not a discussion. So we prevent this woman, and in some states right now, today, there's a woman that is making the decision that she does not believe she wants to carry this pregnancy to term. And there's no place in her state to go to have this abortion. She may or may not be able to get into a car to drive to a state where she can legally get an abortion. So 10 months pass. She may be employed, she may not be employed. She may be employed, but she does not have the funds to have someone to watch this baby. She might not have a job that will pay her full compensation, while she's off on maternity leave. I've seen cases where women couldn't take maternity leave. Right. Because their jobs were not going to pay them. We know that we have a lot of companies out here that
give you just enough hours, but not enough so that you can be a full-time employee to get
the benefits. And you have those that are full-time workers, and they have short-term disability, but you have to be off for so many weeks before that will kick in. And who can go 4 to 6 weeks without a paycheck to wait for 60 to 80% of your paycheck, which is what short-term disability will give you?
And that 40%, that could be the difference between that mom getting enough food, paying her rent, paying her utility bills.
Oh, and how about this? This is the same group of people that don't want to pay for paid family leave.
Yeah.
What is that about? How can you value life, but you don't value the life enough to make sure that the parents can take off work to usher them into this world, to give them the nurturing, the love, and the care without having to worry about rushing back to work? These are the same people.
In most industrialized countries, it's up to 2 years of age, and some even longer than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the same people who don't value preschool, so all these kids are going to be in somebody's daycare?
Being cared for, hopefully, by someone who has a licensed daycare.
At minimum wage.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. And we know the stories that come from that.
So it's so frustrating. Like I said, that's why I have such a heavy heart, because it's so disingenuous.
It would be, to me, a very different conversation if the same group of people were present and there for that 18 years throughout that child's life, picking up the slack for this child that you force this mother
to be brought into this world
to have. Okay, so devil's advocate.
Yes.
Well, maybe they shouldn't be having sex in the first place. Maybe by doing this, we're teaching them to be more responsible. Maybe they'll have that one child, but they won't have the second child. Okay, I'm gonna jump on that one already right now. I've seen women deliver and say, this is it, one and done. So ask yourself, how many women have one child?
Yeah.
Statistically, not that many.
Right.
So we already know somewhere we're hardwired to procreate. So if that is who we are, why would we want, ask, or expect somebody to do something
that's not realistic? Yeah. And then ask ourselves why we're in a situation where there are so many pregnancies happening that are unwanted. We focus on the wrong things.
Absolutely.
So, if we were really putting what we need to put into our education systems, and if we were really providing the support for the family unit, whether it's a single family unit or a 2-parent family, whatever it is, if we were really putting that investment there, you wouldn't have the teen pregnancy issues. You wouldn't even have the so many young girls go off to college and end up coming home that freshman year pregnant.
Because they really aren't giving the true statistics of abstinence programs and the abstinence and the promise, the ones with the promise ring. What the studies have shown is that oftentimes they break that promise
as soon as they get the opportunity.
They don't tell their parents.
Right.
So here, all of these people that are running these programs are believing, this is the answer.
Right.
And we have seen research that proves abstinence is not the best way to tackle birth control or manage teens and teen pregnancy.
Right. Right, right. And there's so many conversations that go that parents don't have with these young girls. We know we've done mentoring programs with young girls. Yes. And so we know that their thought processes don't end just because you didn't have the conversation with them as a parent.
Yeah.
They are still going to think about it. They're going to have conversations with girlfriends. They're going to let boys fill their heads with all these things. I mean, because if you think about a lot of young girls that don't have that father figure in their life, so you have a young man that comes along that's telling her she's beautiful and she's special. What is she going to want to do? Whatever he wants.
It's the setup for disaster.
Yes, yes. And so there's so many other underlying issues that have us why we have these things. So you can't just say, let's take away this right from this woman. And that's the answer, because now we value life and but I don't understand
I think
the
more to
thinking.
The point that the thing that they are forgetting with why Roe versus Wade went before the Supreme Court in the first place. Women have been aborting pregnancies since the beginning of time.
Yes, they have. You're right.
And because we, as people, know our anatomy, there are herbs out there, and you can only police and put laws over so many things. It's been going on since forever. We needed it to be legal to stop women from dying.
Yeah. And now you're setting up a dynamic where those with means can still find a way to do it. And those without means.
The appendectomy surgery that we know wasn't an appendectomy surgery.
Right. Or like they were doing before, those DNCs.
Yes.
Yes. But also that sets up for those that don't have to be more reckless and more dangerous. Yes. And so you have a situation where you're not bringing one life into the world, but you're taking two out.
Right.
So really, it's like, that's why I say I question the motivation behind the desire to want to change this. And when I see those Christians talk about so much about, all life, we treat each other in less than admirable ways. We are not nice to each other. So you value a life that you demean, that you joke about, that you diminish the value of groups of people all the time. But now you want me to believe that you truly care about the unborn life from that population. I don't buy it.
It kind of goes back to you can have whatever your religious source is. You can believe some of it, part of it, or none of it. I can't speak for any other religion. I am a Christian. And the one verse that I stand on, and it helps me to not judge other people, is you without sin cast the first stone. Yeah. And I think we forget that. And if you want to say, well, you believe every word from Genesis to Revelations, then you got to believe that
one too. Exactly. And that's one where taking it out of context is not really an issue because it is what it is. Right. And it's like,
none of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. We all, and if you're looking at it as, well, it's sin to do it. Well, we all sin every single day.
Every single day.
When you look at somebody with a side eye, that's a sin. When you're thinking something bad about someone, you don't even have to say it. That's a sin.
Yeah. And so as we wrap up this conversation for today, I would just encourage each person to, regardless of where you fall on this issue, to truly think about the fact of us having the right to do what it is that we feel we need to do with our bodies. There are things based upon a religious basis that people can say yay or nay to. And if we really value life the way they're saying that we should value life, then we have to respect a person's right to choose what to do with their body.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm thinking, Lori.
So thank you for being with us today. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do that. Any topics that you would like us to have on our channel to discuss, we welcome that. And don't forget to click the notification button to learn when our next upload is on our web podcast. And subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for listening, and we hope to have you with us next time.